Hey, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here then welcome. My name is Maddie, and today I'll be doing the Spring Has Sprung book tag. Every season I like doing a season-themed book tag, and since spring is here, it's been a few weeks since spring started, I thought it's fitting that at this time I do a spring book tag. This is actually a new book tag that was created this season, and the original creator, I have it written right here, luckily, is the Naughty Librarian. So I will leave a link to her original tag video in the description box if you want to check that out, so I can also give her credit. So there are 10 questions, so let's just get into them. The first one is flowers. All the flowers we remember are blooming again. Pick a book that's a fresh take on a retelling. So I picked Geekerella by Ashley Poston. This is a Cinderella retelling, and it's a modern retelling. And what this book is about is, it is about this girl who gets into contact with this guy through text messages and doesn't know it, but this guy is actually an actor, and it's an actor that she's not a huge fan of, but she actually falls in love with him through the text messages. And how the Cinderella storyline ties in is that this girl goes to a con, like a comic con type of thing, and the actor is there, and he is kind of like the prince because he's the one who everyone wants to see there, and she's just the normal girl. So that's how the Cinderella storyline ties in, and I just feel like the Cinderella aspect is done in just such a unique way because instead of a ball, the ball is actually a Comic Con type of event, which is really cool. It's unlike anything I've ever read before, so it's a very unique take on a retelling, and I read this book 2 years ago, but I really want to read it again, especially because the sequel to it is coming out this month in April. It's probably out by now, and I really want to read it. So I do really want to reread the first book since it's been a while since I read it, and I really loved it. Number 2 is Cadbury Mini Eggs. Obviously the superior springtime candy of choice. I can't even remember what Cadbury mini eggs are. They're like chocolate eggs, right? They sound good. Anyway, pick a book that you consider to be a sweet treat. I'm going with Love, Life, and the List by Casey West. This is definitely a sweet book. When I finish this book, all I can think about is how sweet it is. The romance is cute and just really heartfelt. I just read this book recently. I was in January or February, the beginning of this year, and I really enjoyed it. So if you love Casey West, this is one that you have to pick up because so far I think it is one of her sweetest romances. Number 3 is Allergies, which is something I definitely have. Is one of the biggest reasons why I don't like spring is because of the allergies. Allergy season, it sucks. Seasonal allergies often make your eyes water. Pick a book that made you cry. I picked the most recent book that made me cry, like ugly cry, sobbing. It made me cry so much. That is Hopeless by Colleen Hoover. This book is so dark and sad and emotional. I cried nonstop throughout the end of it. There were so many revelations and plot twists that happened that just had me sobbing. I felt so bad for the main character. I really felt for her. I was just in such utter despair finding out what happened to her and what happened in her past. It's just, oh, it's so heartbreaking. But the fact that I was able to emotionally connect to this book in such a way made it so that I will never forget this book. It truly means a lot to me. It was just so well done, and I would highly recommend it. Just be warned that it'll probably make you cry because it is extremely emotional. Number 4 is Spring Cleaning. Out with the old and in with the new. Pick a book that you're going to unhaul. I actually just recently filmed an unhaul video that I have not uploaded yet, but it's coming out soon, so I have a bunch of books that I plan to unhaul. But the most recent book that I just decided to unhaul is Whatever Life Throws at You by Julie Cross. I was so disappointed in this book. I picked it up in March. I didn't even finish it because the main character annoyed me so much. Oh my god, she is terrible. She is so annoying. I mentioned in my wrap-up while talking about this book that the reason I hate her is because she's one of those girls that whenever another girl is near her love interest, she, like, is so judgmental over them and like stereotypes them and slut shames them, and I don't like that. I hate slut shaming. I think it's disgusting, and so I really disliked this main character because she just turned out to be an awful person. And if I don't like the main character of a book, I'm not going to like the book. I'm going to hate the book. So I did not end up enjoying this, which I was disappointed because I had such high hopes for this one. The premise sounded good, but I hated the main character. So never going to pick this book up again, so it is getting unhauled. And I'm really sad I didn't like it. Number 5 is Spring Break. It's the perfect time for an adventure. Pick a book involving a road trip. I picked The Edge of Number by J.A. Redmersky. This one involves a road trip. That's pretty much the main plot of the book. It's about this girl who is tired of her home life and just wants to get out of town forever. So she takes a road trip, and during her trip, she meets a guy that she kind of falls in love with, has kind of an attraction with, and this is all about their love story. It is really cute. I did have some problems with it, but overall, I really enjoyed it. I read it last year, and I would actually reread it again, especially because since I read it so long ago, and it's the first book in a series, I kind of forgot some things, so I definitely will have to reread it sometime soon because I want to continue with this series. Number 6 is mating season. It's that time of year in the animal kingdom to make some babies. Pick a book with some smutty delight. One of the smuttiest books I've ever read is Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. I love this book. It's been so long since I read this book. I read it in 2015, so because it's been so long, I'm not sure if I would like it the same. Now, thinking back on it, there are some problematic things that have to do with it. So I don't know if I'd like it nowadays, but when I did read it initially, I really loved it. I read it in one sitting. I could not stop reading it. It definitely is pretty smutty though. This majority of this plot is just a bunch of sex scenes, but I loved it so much. I love the romance. The backstory that has to do with the hero of this book is just so heartbreaking and sad. I felt for him so much. I would be interested to reread this one again just to see if I still like it after I haven't read it in so long, so I think I am going to do that sometime, just because I'm kind of interested too. Spring is made of rainbows. Pick a book featuring an LGBTQ plus character. One book that I recently read that falls into that category is This Is Where It Ends by Marieke Nijkamp. This one has a lesbian couple in it, which I wasn't suspecting because this isn't marketed as an LGBT book. It's a thriller, but there is actually some rep in there, so that was really cool. I really enjoyed this book. It was so thrilling and really sad because it deals with a school shooting, which is something that's so realistic, so that's why it made me so sad and depressed at the end of it. But I did appreciate how diverse it was since it did have some LGBT representation in there, and I would overall really recommend this one if you can handle the subject matter. Next one is Spring Awakening. This is one of my all-time favorite musicals. This is a musical? I've never heard of it. Even though it's filled with completely dysfunctional characters. And now I'm kind of interested in seeing this musical now. I love dysfunctional characters. Pick a book that's also filled with completely dysfunctional characters. The first book that came to mind is Paper Princess by Aaron Watt. These characters are so messed up and dysfunctional. They do terrible things, and yet you can't help but still love these characters. At least for me, I loved every single character in this book, even though they are shady and they make poor decisions. It was just so entertaining, and this is definitely a huge guilty pleasure book because of that. Number 9 is In Like a Lion, Out Like a Lamb. Pick a book series that didn't get better as it progressed. I'm going with Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. This series was so disappointing. It let me down so much. When I first read Red Queen, I was so in love with it, and I still love this book. This was such a great book, but then I read the sequel, and it disappointed me so much. I thought it didn't live up nearly as much to the excitement that I had with Red Queen. It was just so disappointing. I tried reading the third book, and I couldn't get into it, so I just DNF'd this series altogether. So that made me really sad, especially because I loved the first book so much. I thought it was the best book ever, but Sadly, since I didn't enjoy the rest of this series, it really gave me more negative feelings towards the first book. It kind of ruined the first book for me, so that was really sad. It just goes to show that sometimes a series does not get good, or it doesn't live up to how much you love the first book, and that can ruin the first book for you, which is like really disappointing. So I'm really sad I couldn't enjoy the rest of this series. However, I still like the first book. It's still well done, but I probably will never continue this series because it really let me down. And number 10 is Fun in the Sun, Tag Some Friends. I didn't write down anyone to tag, so I'll just tag anyone who's watching this video. If you want to do this tag, go ahead and do it because I tag you to do it. So that was the Spring Has Sprung book tag. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe down below for more bookish related videos. I upload 2 to 3 times a week, so I'll be back really soon. Bye!